Hello.
Yeah,
Today
hi.
it's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Vikas Madhav. He is a bioconservationist with about 14 years of experience. He has done a lot of campaigns, of survey work, and many other initiatives to save India's wildlife. And he won the Young Naturalist Award in 2014 and still holds the record of being the youngest recipient. Then in the year 2015, he was nominated the Tiger Ambassador of Tamil Nadu. And right now he is pursuing chemical engineering at the Assistant College of Engineering. So I give you a very warm welcome.
Thank you.
So yeah, just as we begin, I would like to know who is a bioconservationist and what does he do?
So, a bioconservationist is a very broad term which you can use to, put anyone who works with environmental and ecological life and works towards conserving them. So, what do you mean by conservation? Conservation is again a very broad term. You can go to a place and say what you saw and report that. That is called conservation in an angle where you're telling people what you have seen in a place. Then there's another angle of going and doing campaigning work. That is, yeah, there are 45 species of butterflies here, and this is why this place has to be protected. And you go to either news outlets or you go to government petitions, stuff like that. So both of these are important angles of conservation, and roping in local people and normal people, a common man. So everyday people is also important. So that's the third element. So if you ask me, anyone who works in any of these spheres is a bioconservationist per se.
Yeah. So the next question, could you take us to your childhood and tell us what led you towards becoming a bioconservationist?
So as a child, I've always been an outdoors kid, following ants, watching butterflies, and apparently crawling behind millipedes. That was how I spent most of my younger days. And I would say that from my first grade, I took a keen interest into birds, watching especially woodpeckers. So it started from there. And I guess over time, because of a lot of exposure I've had, because of my parents being supportive and taking me to, not just a zoo, but taking me to wild habitats, like Pallikarnai or the Guinea National Park at that time, and the exposure I gained and interacting with other people who work with birds, that kind of got me into this whole streamlined movement.
Yeah, that's how I think I used to spend my in a part of my summer vacation. So, what are your special interests in nature?
So in nature, I am more of a bridge. I act as a bridge between taxonomy and common people. So I don't go to a place and just say XY species is found there. I want to go to a place, record what is there, and put that data out to other people who are not necessarily well accustomed to a group. For example, let's take butterflies. So I want, so when I take a group like butterflies, I'm not just going to go to various hotspots and tell what I recorded there. I'm going to put that in a palatable form for people to understand that and receive that. So there's a difference between saying the southern birdwing has been reported along the Chennai from 5 locations, and saying India's largest butterfly is known from Chennai in this place. So the way you deliver information, that bridge of connect between nature and wildlife and nature and humans is very important, especially when you're in this urban environment. So I basically function as that bridge right now. Apart from that, I do a lot of survey work. So when you do, let's say there are some groups which people have not done a lot of research in. For example, there not a lot of people have done research on the types of crabs we get throughout Chennai. There are some places where they have done some work, but not throughout the Chennai coast. So some places like that, I try and contribute my expertise, and it's called forming baselines. So that's what I do.
How many species of birds, butterflies have you seen? Are there any species you have identified, reported, or that any new species that you have discovered?
Yeah, so I do not know how many species of birds or butterflies I've seen throughout in my life offhand. Birds, I would guess, is above somewhere above 700 species of birds I've seen in India. And butterflies, my guess would be around 400 species of butterflies in India. That would be my guess. I've definitely seen more. I've taken pictures of 350 butterflies. Might have seen at least 400. Birds should be more than 700 and I think 770. I think 770 birds in India. I'm not sure. I think 770 birds in India. And when it comes to being new or not new, I would always put it like this. The bird or the butterfly or whatever you're talking about is always there. It's just that humans have not seen it yet. So I have made such records though. For example, in butterflies, I cited a butterfly known as the red spot Jezebel, which is normally a species which is seen in Assam and Sikkim. It's a Northeast Indian species. And mine was the first record of the butterfly in the state of Tamil Nadu and in South India at that in recent times. So I've had honors like that. And among birds, I've seen several birds which have not been reported in that time, like the Indian skimmer and the imperial eagle. Those are two examples of birds which have not been seen in recent times till I saw it. And then after that, people have seen it afterwards.
Yeah, that is remarkable. Such a vast number of species. So, what kind of activities have you led or been a part of?
So my line of work entails five major components. One is surveys, where I would go to various parts of the country. I've surveyed at least 16 states in India. So I go to various parts of the country in different types of habitats. I survey. Another part of it is census work. So a survey and a census differ in the likes that a survey, I just need to see what I've looked at. And in a census, I will have to count what I've looked at. So I've done more of census work in the Himalayas, especially in the state of Uttarakhand. Then I do a lot of college walks for college students and school walks for school students. Then apart from that, I do other public walks so that different people from various communities can come and look at nature from their own backspaces. Like I've done community walks in Sholangalur. I've done community walks in Besanagar so that people know what they have in their own backyard. And last but not the least is personal walks. That's something which has no strings attached. You can go do what you want, come back. So those also are very important for to develop your own skill sets.
Quite exciting. Now, could you tell us about your favorite campaign or project that you've done?
My favorite campaign, I don't have any favorites in campaigns, but I would say the recent campaigns I have worked on are the Save Pulicat campaign and Save Vedantangal campaign. Those are the two most recent campaigns I've been actively a part of. And so Vedantangal campaign is on making sure that the entire 5 square kilometers of the bird sanctuary stays conserved. And the Pulicat campaign is to make sure that rampant port expansion does not occur, and to ensure that the Pulicat bird sanctuary has an eco-sensitive zone of 10 square eco-sensitive zone of 10 square kilometers.
Wow, I've been to Vedanta. Yeah. So, what other activities do you do in relation to bioconservation?
Part of the job is unfortunately photography. I am not a photographer As such, I take pictures of what I see because one, people should believe what I see, and two, it's pictures speak more than words. So people like seeing, pretty pictures of birds and pretty pictures of butterflies than reading, 100-word essay on what I've seen. So because of that, it entails photography. Some also entail audio recordings where you'll have to listen to bird calls and play them back to check if that bird made, let's say, was it a two pitched call or a three pitched call. So that also comes in the likes of things. But yeah.
Yeah, so most of the conservation efforts are citizen science initiatives. How useful have they been?
The citizen science initiatives have been very useful in the state of Maharashtra, where in the Bombay High Court, in fact, took data which has been put up on the marine life in Mumbai. So it's very important that citizen science has got legal implications. We've not had any of those kind of judgments in Tamil Nadu, but nevertheless, it's important to have these repositories there because citizen science gives us a temporal vision which we never had earlier. Because I cannot monitor everything every time at every point. Whereas citizen science, because of collaborative action, will enable us to come to a near paradigm of at least coming close to monitoring as many species as we can at a given time, at a given place.
Yeah. So, what do you think are the steps that each citizen can take to strike a balance between human and wildlife in our situation?
So when it comes to cities and what you can do personally, there are stuff you can do personally, such as gardening and making sure that you have local plants, which are host plants and larval host plants and nectaring plants for butterflies and moths, so that you can create what is known as corridors for them to migrate and for them to basically live. So just having a pretty garden doesn't help. If you have nectar plants, which helps the butterfly, helps a lot. So there are small things you can do for your own local community like that. In a larger scale of things, there is always taking part in campaigns, spreading awareness, and making sure that you spread right news and you understand what exactly is happening, and that you don't get murdered with the politics which is involved in a lot of these campaigns.
Yeah. So, how do you balance your education and the major roles that you have to do being a bioconservationist?
So I have a very understanding college, and the nature of my department also has allowed me to pursue this in full front, and I am very grateful to both my college assistant and especially my department, chemical engineering department, which has allowed me to take care of this side. And sorry, they've taken care of me basically from my academic point of view. So I just if I cannot make it for an exam, I am excused and I'm allowed to write a re-exam for that whenever it's convenient for them and for me. So that kind of liberty is important when you need to do things which are extremely outdoorsy, especially something like wildlife, where you need to be always out and on the field. And when you come back also, there's a lot of paperwork involved, recording species, identifying what you've seen, stuff like that. So it takes a lot of time. So it's very nice that college has been understanding.
It's great. Do you have any concluding remarks, messages for our leaders?
I would say that it would be nice that people start. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to know anything. Have a phone, click what you find. You don't have to click birds. If you can only take pictures in your phone of a small bug, do it. And start uploading these pictures on iNaturalist, which is a citizen science portal. Your pictures will automatically come in a page known as the Biodiversity of Chennai, which is a page I have started along with others. And someone will be there to help you and identify you. And who knows, in this process you will find something which syncs with you. Like you might find that, I'm interested in dragonflies, or I like ladybirds. Something will click with you in the process, and you also get more connected to what your city is really, rather than what you make of the city. So that connect you get is a different type of connect, where you are pushing your boundaries of what you know, from clothing to eateries, into more non-sophisticated natural rules of what you see around you. What can I do to plant to get more things around me? What can I do to protect the larger environment around me? That conversation starts with a simple click. What you find.
Thank you so much. This has been a great interview. I found this very interesting. Interviewing you. So thanks again for accepting.
No worries, no worries.